With the influx of Dagestani wrestlers and the influence they have had on the sport, we have more wrestlers than we have ever had before. We have a whole part of the world that could walk into almost any fight, get a takedown, and wet blanket their way to a win. Some of the hardcore fans love it and they appreciate it, and that's the sport. And if you can't defend a takedown, that's on you. The new fans, the casual fans, the new eyes on the sport see a whole lot of hugging and don't necessarily love the ins and the outs. My name is Angelo. This is Josh Thompson. And the question becomes, are wrestlers ruining MMA? Josh, you could never defend or get a takedown. How do you feel about wrestlers entering this sport?
Angelo, you know how like how pairs are? You're shaped like that. So if I lift your leg past your kneecap, it's just gonna like topple over. I mean, that's exactly what it is, correct?
Like one of those Russian dolls where you take it off and there's always something inside. First of all, listen.
First of all,
you and I, it was me, you, and Eric at your birthday thing, and you started, I could take you down, I could take you down, I could take you down. I said, guess what? I'll meet you at 5 a.m. jiu-jitsu on Tuesday. And there was I think a light drizzle outside, so you didn't show up, but I was there, and Eric was there, and I was ready. I was ready for this takedown competition that you no-showed.
Bro, it would have been the easiest thing ever.
One of us is scared and it's not me.
Easiest thing ever. Like, I'm telling you, once you touch a heavyweight's leg, his single leg, it's over. It just fall right over for you. It's easy, smooth. And look, I saw the video of Jacob taking you down. Like he didn't take. No, Jacob's whole debate. He actually let you back up, and I saw you bend the knee. You were on your knee, basically waiting. Like you were struggling to get up. I mean, that was a little.
Okay. First of all, highly edited video, and he edited it. Second of all, I launched him against the wall with an Uchimata, and then as we were on the ground, I didn't shoot, I reached to the knee, he pulled it back, I let him up, and I did push off my own knee to stand up. Not a great look. That did make me look fatter and older than I am. But that was just casual Ange.
Anybody that believes that you even know what the fuck Uchimata is and how to hit one, just fucking, you guys just leave your casual MMA or jiu-jitsu or judo card right there on the table. Leave it there. Angelo will swoop it up because, he's just taking in all this bullshit you guys are believing.
There is a 5-point throw on video. I let him take the single. I leave the single out there. You can have it because you're going for a ride. And he went for a ride. Leg went across the hip. His hips went over his head. 5 points, Uchimata.
Jeez, man. Hilarious. Okay, let's go ahead and talk about what the topic is. Is our MMA or is wrestling ruining the sport of MMA? I don't think so. If anything, I think it's actually bringing some more purity back to the sport. Let's be honest. Guys that have shaped the sport of MMA have been world-class wrestlers. Randy Couture, Dale Cormier, Khabib Nurmagomedov, GSP, all of these guys have been wrestlers, but they just knew when to utilize it. Now, I do know there are some outliers where all they do is wrestle fuck you, and you end up with problems like bad fights. But also, too, in strategy, I've said this forever, is winning solves everything. Doesn't matter. Take a look at John Fitch. He finally got to the title. People didn't like that he wrestled so much, but go back and look at his fights. I want to say out of his 11 fights before he got to the title shot, 9 of them were finishes. They criticized him, but he finished his fights all the way to the title. He had some fights that were fucking boring, but he dominated, controlled, top position, and ended up getting the finish, whether it was ground and pound, whether it was submissions, whatever it was. That was his style and what he did best. GSP, did you guys criticize him after he lost to Matt Serra? I mean, everyone still thought he walked on water. He's considered to be probably next in line to be GOAT. For me, he is my GOAT. I put him at that level. He's beaten everybody in all the fights that he lost. He redeemed himself. So those are the guys that I put up there at the top. Do I think they're ruining No, I don't think they're ruining the sport. Tell me why you think that they are.
So I don't necessarily think as a whole they're ruining the sport, but I do think you have to be careful about how you reward wrestling, and the judges seem to be accommodating that, meaning we are seeing empty takedowns mean nothing nowadays. We're back in the day in your era, and I didn't say that sarcastically. You could be getting pieced up on the feet, get an empty takedown, and he won the round. It's like, what? You didn't do shit. Half a takedown doesn't win a round, but it used to win a round. Now it almost doesn't at all. It basically does nothing for you now. So I think that will help a little bit. Where I do think the wrestlers can be a bit of a problem is on some of these big cards and in these big matchups. If we go all the way back to Noche UFC, Valentina Shevchenko beat Alexa Grasso. It was the worst fight. That fight sucked. And they billed Noche UFC and they spent millions of dollars to do, and it sucked. And the O'Malley Merab fight kind of sucked too. And they both did for the exact same reason. Wrestling. Then there was another female fight on that main card, I believe. It might be a different one. That also kind of sucked. And I think that's where you could have a problem if you have too many of these wrestle first, not busy enough fighters. But if I leave the UFC and go to PFL, they've doubled and tripled down on, we're getting the Russians, bring in the Russians. And that can be a problem because without the name notoriety, without the popularity, and it's just another random, they all look the same, meaning, just like jacked white dudes that will get takedowns. It's hard to separate from the pack when you're all just jacked white dudes getting takedowns. And I think that's where you end up hurting, maybe not the sport, but definitely your own brand when you build fight cards around that style.
Okay, so I would say, yes, I could agree with you all on the fact that you're going to get some outliers, like I said earlier, with guys that they're going to use what works best for them. That's called fight IQ. Like look at we tore down John Jones, even though he kept the fight on the feet the whole time against Dominic Reyes, Santos, and Anthony Smith. Boring fucking fights. Boring. He's like, I can just touch him from the outside. I don't have to use too much energy, whatever it is. But look, I can go back through the PFL talk. The Fabian Edwards Impa Kasanganay, great fight, ended in KO, TKO. Gadzi Rabadanov lasted literally 32 seconds of Mark Diagesi. I don't know how you say it. Takezi. Great knockout finish on that fight. Sadabusi, great submission win. Like, these were great fights. JJ Wilson and Mads Burnell, KO finish. Clay Collard, KO finish with Alfie Davis. Josh Silveira versus Mike Shipman, decision. Okay, but I thought it was a great fight. Josh Silveira is dangerous. Josh Silveira is good on the ground. His dad is Conan Silveira, if you guys don't know. Brent Primus, I thought he had to do what he had to do based on the fact that he didn't know the guy. And I talked to him a little bit about it. Didn't really know much about the guy. Knew he was good on the feet, tall, long, lanky kind of fighter, good kickboxer. Do what I do best. Take the guy down, control him, try to get the submission. Was able to finally get the sub towards the end of the third round, 4:52, 8 seconds left in the fight, but still got the sub. Still finish. But the rest of the fight was kind of because back control. Aaron Jeffries to me and Ramazanov, what a fucking fight. Back and forth battle. The split decision. I mean, it was a good fight. I thought that whole card was stacked. Now the card the week before, fucking snooze fest. I literally was falling asleep watching it, and knowing that I had to film later, I was like, geez, I cannot watch this thing. Brutal. Bottom line is that, look, there's fights that I want to see that have good wrestlers. You guys, everyone complained about Khabib. But let's be honest, probably one of the most exciting fighters to watch ground and pound. Look at the fucking third round or second round of Conor and Khabib. Talking shit to him, beating the shit out of him. Let's talk now. You want to be friends? Let's talk now. Let's go. Let's talk. Like, those are the conversation he was having with Michael Johnson. Brother, it's my destiny. I have to fight for the title. Just give up. I don't want to hurt you. Like, these are things to have that amount of control, to have that ability to ground and pound and still smash guys and talk shit. Like, not really even so much talking trash, but you know what I mean? Like, it was, that to me is what made it so great. Wrestling is such a key component in the sport. We can't shelf it, put it on the sideline and talk bad about it because the sport would suck without it. Big slams, suplexes, double legs, single legs, flares. I mean, Josh Koscheck had one of the best single leg to the flare, to the double leg flare, just all the way across the cage. Fantastic. And then as he got better on the feet, he fell in love with the stand-up, those kind of things. But that's what you're in hopes with, that guys will stand more as they get more comfortable on the feet after being so dominant in wrestling. Whereas GSP was the flip. He literally was, I'm all stand up, and then I gets knocked out. Nope, I'm a wrestler. Oh shit, now I'm a wrestler. So, and he was really good at it. So I don't want to shelf these guys and put them on the shelf saying like, oh, they're just boring wrestlers. No. They got to use every tool. It's called mixed martial arts. And if you don't understand that, you're a casual.
So a couple of weeks ago, Torres Finny fought. You remember that fight? Little dude, jacked out of his mind. He was on the Contender Series, had 3 wins on the Contender Series, came into the UFC, fought Robert Valentin, and he was just shooting sloppy takedown after sloppy on the ground, did literally nothing. On the feet, third round, he's just shooting a takedown, can't get it, hold you against the cage. It was awful. It was unanimously reamed as like, God, this fight sucks. And if you've never seen the UFC before and you were told, because he was a hot prospect at the time, this guy's the future. Look at him. He's physically like, he's just jacked and could be exciting. And then that's the fight you see. There's no way you're like, yeah, and UFC is pretty fun. You're like, this sucks. This is what you watch every Saturday. And I think it's that type of wrestler. Because I wrestled my whole life. So I appreciate wrestling. I love wrestling. But it is the just blind nonsense, sloppy hug wrestling and wet blanket that is just brutal to watch, horrible for everyone. I think you agree with that, right? Like that's just not good for the sport if it's just wet blanket over and over and over.
Well, rolling around in your singlet with your transgender neighbor is not wrestling, but it's just like, what?
To be fair, it went from man to woman, so still strong.
Very true. Very true. Very true. Look. What was his name? Finny. I remember his last name. Torres Finny. Let's be honest. No one was saying, "Hey, buddy, come watch this guy." Nobody. Okay, you just made that whole thing up in your head. No one's like, "Oh yeah, man, this guy." He literally had to fight 3 times in Dana White Contender Series because Dana said he wasn't ready yet. So let's put that off to the side.
People were excited.
Nobody, not one person said, "Come watch this guy. He's great." Like that.
People were
nobody
excited.
did that. Angelo, nobody did that. Okay, now let's get into it. I thought, honestly, I'm going to give that kid a pass only based on one thing. It's his first fight in the UFC. He's tried to get in there. Dana White Contender Series is not the same as fighting in the actual UFC against someone who's already in the UFC. So I'm going to give him a pass. He's got the wrestling, he's got the cardio, he's got all those things. Now he's got to work on doing damage from the top position. He can work on that between now and then. The UFC, I'm sure, had a conversation with him. If you're not more action-packed, you will be sitting or you will just be released. We have no problem with that. You're not making enough for us to give a shit.
They got rid of Makai because he had a bad attitude and he's boring as hell.
Yeah, the attitude thing will get you almost every time with Dana. If you don't have a good attitude, man, he's like, fuck, I don't need to deal with this shit. Don't be blowing up my phone. Don't have your manager blow up my phone. Those are all things that will for sure get you released. 100%. I don't think you should put Finny in the same category as guys like Khabib, GSP, guys that wrestle Mokav. Even Mokav, I thought his fights weren't great. I didn't like the way he played the rule game, like sitting in a Asian squat, sitting down like and basically tempting someone to knee him in the face. I didn't like that. Touching one hand to the ground, not touching the ground, like that type of shit drives me absolutely crazy. You get what you get. If you get kneed in the face, oh well, you played the game. But in that, like Mokav, I respect him as a fighter. Just I understand where you're coming from in that type of situation. But give me other fighters. Give me other fighters you think that are just boring in terms of wrestling.
So I don't think this, but the general consensus, at least for a long period of time, was Bilal. This guy is so boring. When they were talking about Bilal versus Shavkat, it was like, please, Shavkat, save us from this. I actually don't think he was boring because he has that Marab style where there are a million takedowns there, but he's doing something. He's not just laying there. I'll give you a name, and he seems like the nicest guy in the world. Grant Dawson. Dude, Grant Dawson fights are bad.
Yeah.
They're bad. They're bad. He seems like the nicest guy. He finished a very old, finishable Rafa Garcia. The rest of it is like true wet blanket wrestling. And he seems like the greatest guy in the world, and he's got an unbelievable record, and he could really do something, but nobody has ever been like, can't wait to see that fight. And when you're building fans and you're growing the sport and you're about, let's say you sign this huge new Netflix, if they sign a new deal with Netflix and it's numbers based, I guarantee you they're leaving a lot of those offs off those first couple of cards.
I don't think so.
You don't think so?
No, man. I don't think so. I mean, for how many OBs are on there? How many do they have?
There's a lot of OBs. There's a lot of
OBs on the roster. Is a fucking really exciting fighter.
He's French.
What?
He's French.
Get the fuck out of here. First off, he's not French. He lives in France. He's not French. Okay. Yeah, that he lives in. I don't. He's just been there for 10 years or 15 years. He's not French, buddy. Bilal Muhammad. Like to me, I feel like his fights have definitely gotten a lot better in terms of 100%. Excitement. I can't think of any other fighter that you really could. Mokav would have been the one. Look, I've got a problem with guys like Manel Kopp. Like sometimes he's so fun to watch, and then sometimes he just doesn't show up. There's too much action play. A little bit like I was having a problem with Kevin Holland. Like, dude, you're so good. Why are you fucking like fight? Stop with this exciting and like trying to talk to the crowd and have fun. I get it, have fun, but have fun winning. There's nothing more fun than that. And look, it doesn't matter about it. It's not just wrestling. You can have a really good stand-up fighter make a fucking boring fight. And so that's what drives me crazy. Like, it's not just wrestling. 2 stand-up fighters or even just one can make a very boring fight. 100%.
No, I agree.
Strickland was considered to be really boring
forever
until he beat Izzy.
He honestly still is boring. His last fight with DDP sucked.
I mean, I don't know what he was thinking. Like nothing changed. That fight
not a thing.
I was expecting a lot more.
That was our first ever bad take.
I'm gonna die out there. Apparently not. We all died at home watching. That's what happened.
Of boredom.
And I like Strickland.
I mean, he's built a career for himself because he had a couple of very important wins when he needed them, and he can market himself, whether you agree or disagree with how he does it. He does it. Yeah. So I don't necessarily subscribe to, wrestling's ruining the sport. I see a ton of that. Like I see a lot of those comments, a lot of this card sucks, this fighter sucks, all that stuff. We break down full cards, and there's a lot of comments about ignore this. You could make the same case about women, right? A lot of people hate women's MMA. Some of those fights are very set. Some are low-level, sloppy messes. Others are fun, really good back and forth fights. So I don't think you can make any gross generalization. No. I do think, though, if you're going to go get yourself a whole bunch of Russian region type wrestlers that have no name notoriety whatsoever and try to build off of that, I don't think that's a winning strategy whatsoever. Because you don't know who's going to rise to the top, because everybody you listed who's a wrestler happens to be exciting after they get the takedown. You don't know who is going to be that or who's not going to be that until they fight a few times.
Yeah. I mean, this Finny kid, right? He's got to work on his game. But this is also the pressure the UFC puts on you. You know, Cory Anderson, he had to leave the UFC because they didn't respect him. They didn't like what he was doing. He's like, they were basically telling me if I didn't wrestle, I'd never get a title shot. Or if I didn't stand, I would never get a title shot. He left, went to Bellator, became champion. I wouldn't be surprised if he ended up coming back because they need help in that weight class. That weight class is fucking boring as hell right now. 205. You know, and they could use Nemkov at heavyweight. So there's guys available or are not available, guys that are out there that I'd love to see in the UFC, you know, to spice it up and spruce it up a little bit. Those guys may not be exciting until after they get the takedown, but I can't isolate wrestling and say it makes the sport boring. I understand where you're going with, you know, all the top, you know, world-class wrestlers that come out of Dagestan or come out of, you know, that Eastern Bloc area, whatever it is. I understand what you're talking about. I've heard this complaint for the longest time. Problem is that people never really get to know them because a majority of them don't learn how to speak English. And this is more of a conversation to be had about how learning how to speak English is so important to get people to actually start to be a fan of yours. And that's why when Khabib started speaking English, it didn't have to be great English. Oh, I want to fight your chicken. You know, I'm going to smash your boy. Those Conor McGregor, because he had an accent. I don't even know what language he was speaking, but who the fuck is that? Like, who the fuck is that guy? Like that type of stuff, the accent. And to see people trying to speak English is very important. And you guys probably don't remember the Pride days. Those fighters, Japan loved the fighters that tried to speak Japanese. And they brought them back all the time because Bob Sapp was making $6-7 million a year or $8 million a year.
Really?
Yes. And because he tried to speak Japanese, he was a huge, big guy, moved to Japan, all these things. You know, they loved them. And they also like the stoic guys with, you know, Fedor, who's still the biggest star ever in the sport. You know, even currently still bigger than John Jones. But regardless, I know. Bottom line is you have to make an effort to, I think, bring on the American attraction, the Canadian attraction, the, you know, whatever it is. You've got to bring that Western atmosphere, the Westerner type language. Australians, they want to follow somebody, and you can't do that unless you speak English. We're the biggest consumers of fucking everything, and they want to consume more fights, but they don't understand you, or they don't see you're making an effort. They're never going to follow you. The thing that made Khabib celebrity and made him a celebrity is send location. Right?
I mean, do that shit to me. Send link. Send link. Anytime we're about to film.
Send location, you know, send me location, send location, and then I'm going to smash your boy. broken English. He even talks about how Usman Nurmagomedov and Umar, that it was very important for them to learn how to speak a little bit of English because fans connect with that. And the way that they talk and how their confidence is, people can relate to. That's what that's what's enjoy about it. We watch them fight, then we hear you speak, we put the two things together. Now when we hear your voice, on ESPN's top, 10 knockouts or ESPN's this or that. Now we put it together. Oh, and we hear the name. Now I remember hearing you speak. Now I remember what you said. It just all goes together. And until the Madoffs or whatever, Magomedovs and the whatever at the end, until they start learning that portion of it all. I mean, look at guys the only guy that I can see that's an outlier of all this, Charles Oliveira, still doesn't speak a damn lick of English.
Yeah.
People love it. People love him. He's good looking. He speaks English. He speaks, I think he's a good looking kid.
Charles Oliveira?
Yes. The one with the nice teeth, the one with tall, he's really tall and slender. The former lightweight champ. Tattoos on his chest. Well, I'm sorry. I know you don't know what tall and slender is. Maybe tall, but not slender. He's a good looking kid.
Charles Oliveira
carries himself well, dresses well.
Back with that holy water. Charles Oliveira. Yes.
People love him.
Exciting. Yes.
Doesn't speak English.
Love him.
Doesn't speak a lick. He's made it work. He's a star in Saudi Arabia and Dubai, and he's a star there. He's a star here. People love him. People love Charles Oliveira.
Anderson Silva was in the same boat. He became famous because
he just pretended like he didn't.
Yeah, and he didn't really speak it till late. But he built his fame off of finishing people. If he was, to your point, I agree with your point entirely. If he was a boring wrestler but still getting those wins, nobody would have cared about him at all because you couldn't connect to him. Islam has highlight reel after highlight reel, not of his finishes, of funny shit he says in interview.
Oh, he's fucking
right.
Great.
Dagestan, 2-3 years, all of that on your show with the buddy, who this guy, there's those clips that constantly go viral of him because of his personality, because he took the time. So this started with, are wrestlers boring? And I guess the answer is some are, yes. But if you are boring and manage to win and then have a little bit of personality, people will forgive the boring part.
The same can be said about strikers, though. Sean Strickland's got a personality. He's not the most exciting striker. Push, kick, jab. Push, kick, jab. Okay, but we enjoy watching him fight because most people either want to see him get beat up for his talk, his chirping, or they want to see him win because they like what he has to say. And that's the reality, is that you can't do anything without a personality these days. Chael Sonnen, Colby Covington, both were not considered to be exciting fighters until they started chirping. And then it just, the shtick does something for you. And so I think if you're that can go for stand-up guys, it goes for wrestlers, goes for jiu-jitsu guys. They've all got to have. Fedor Emelianenko speaks English just fine.
Does he really?
Yes.
I've never seen it.
Oh, geez. I've interviewed him, I don't know how many times in fighter meetings, this and that. And as soon as you start talking to him, you say something funny, he has it translated.
Yeah.
But he understands and he speaks it back because I've heard him speak English. But he literally will, as you ask the question, he'll laugh.
Yeah.
He understood it.
Before the translator.
Before the translator even starts to go. I'm asking it and he's laughing. He's yeah. And you're like, okay, you get it. You understand. And then I've heard him talk in English.
Yeah.
Yeah. And very clearly, by the way. It's not very broken. Yeah, it's not broken. So they're like I said, there's guys out there and there's females out there that get the bad rep for being boring. But in reality, look, when you also get to the top, they're not easy to finish. Bilal Muhammad, could have possibly finished Leon Edwards, could have possibly finished Gilbert Burns, did finish Sean Brady, who is now the number one guy, ranking, which says a lot about how Bilal has grown as a fighter. So, decisioned Stephen Thompson, Vicente Luque, Damian Maia being a dog. There's all these guys. But regardless, Bilal, though, brings the action, the pressure. He doesn't get the credit he deserves. And it's tough to finish those guys at the top. Oh, it's so boring. Well, get your fucking fat ass out there and try and finish somebody in the top 30. How's that?
Yeah, I do not subscribe to wrestlers are ruining the sport. I do get the point, and I'm curious what you guys think. If you're showing, you have a buddy over for the first ever UFC event, and you see a bunch of offs on that lineup, are you a little nervous that they're going to show up and it's like, oh, here we go. I have got nothing exciting for them to see? Or are you like, nah, it's always fun. It'll be fun. I'm not worried about it. Curious if you guys think wrestling is ruining the sport, or it is just one of the components, and right now there might be a rule on the Dagestani side of things, but people's takedown defense will get better, the sport will evolve, and then we have a full cycle running through here.
Kickboxing is ruining the sport, just like the three-pointers ruining basketball. That's exactly what's going on. Kickboxing is ruining the sport.
Point fighters?
Point fighters.
French savate fighters are ruining this, but that's actually probably a pretty unanimous take. But let us know what you guys think below. If you think wrestling is going too far, if the judges are accounting for it, and how you feel wrestlers are affecting the sport. And let us know what you want our next bad take to be.